One way or the other, every decision you make is going to change something. So if you make good ones, it takes you down road A. If you make a bad one, it takes you down road B. And personally, I like to stay on road A. All right, the Khaos Project is back for another fun time with Billy and my bodyguard, Bear.
What's going on, Chef?
Man, I'm so pumped up about being here today.
It's good to be with you.
I wish I could pump up and look as good as you, but hey, I'm an old fella.
You gotta save your head. You gotta save your head. We'll have to
Really?
get a bet going or something to where you get to save your head.
I don't think I'd be as pretty.
Or you gotta grow out a beard.
We better go with the shaving the head.
Jesus had a beard?
Yes, he did, but I can't grow a beard. Can't do it.
I can't grow hair, so.
Oh, well. You know what they say. We're not going to say that. Okay, we're going to talk about decision making today. The decisions so far in this podcast have not been too good. We're going to try and figure out how not to make bad ones and how to make good ones, because I make more bad ones typically in my lifetime than I make good ones. How about you?
I've got plenty of experiences with bad decisions. But the goal is to definitely make some good decisions. I can tell you about putting gas in a lawnmower while smoking a cigarette.
What?
Or fill it up. Yeah, exactly. Right. We're not going to talk about that.
That's why you got no hair.
Well, maybe. But I might have got a little singe. Man, I mean, we used to have a pool. I mean, just to entertain the kids, man. You know, you feeling kind of brave. You know, jumping off the roof into a pool.
That's nothing. You jump off the roof onto a trampoline. Now that's when you're living.
You jump off a roof into a trampoline.
Oh,
into
heck
a pool?
yeah. Yeah, and then into a pool.
Okay.
Done that. Missed the pool.
All right, then. That was a bad decision.
It was not a good decision on my part. Yeah. But all kinds of things in our lives, we make decisions.
Right.
2024 is new, so maybe we can, not make as many decisions that are bad.
Man.
I'm just sitting here thinking about bad decisions, and it's really, curls me up.
So how do you make a good decision, chap?
I take a lot of time to think about the deep things. I have some specific types of filters in my own, at least in my own life. I have some filters. Of course, as a pastor, I obviously use scripture as a filter for me.
Right.
And so I always pray about things, and I spend time looking through scripture to see if there's some direction. Sometimes there is. Sometimes there's not always that direct connect. I talk to people in my life. Hey, how can you do this? And have you ever done this? Or what happened when you did this? Or if you did this? But at the end of the day, decisions matter because they change your trajectory in life. One way or the other, every decision you make is going to change something. So if you make good ones, it takes you down road A. If you make a bad one, it takes you down road B. And personally, I like to stay on road A unless I'm chasing a squirrel.
I like the fact that you talked about reflection.
Yeah.
Right? Taking a minute to pause before you make a big decision.
Oh, there you go. Fancy words, fancy words.
So my wife and I did this on a regular basis, you know, whether it came time to stay in the Army, whether it came time to ETS, new duty station, you got some choices up for grabs, right? And then the Army says, well, you're going here anyway. I don't care what you decide. But, man, we'd always write down a pros and cons list. We try to take time and reflect. We try to take time and look at that and think about that. How is this going to affect our family? How is this going to affect the other people, our friends? People that we care about. And I think people are selfish, man. They don't think about that too much.
No, they don't. I think there's too many decisions that we make in our life just in a split second. Boom. Boom. And when we do that, that's usually when we get in trouble.
That causes chaos, chap.
You got that right. And when chaos takes place in our lives, every decision from there on just begins to turn into a snowball.
You ever go to the grocery store hungry?
Never do that.
What?
Never do that.
I don't believe you. You never
do
done
that.
it?
Oh, I've done it, but it'd be bad.
And what'd your grocery bill look like? You went in there for some bread and you're hungry, your stomach's growling.
I walked by the cookies. Oh, not good. I walked by the donuts. Oh, not good. And then I hit the Frito-Lane.
I think that's a good thing, though.
The donuts?
All of them. All that sounds delicious.
Well, you don't really look like that's the kind of food you eat all the time.
But I do. I told you, bad decisions, man.
I'll tell you what's a bad decision. To jump in a pool of cold water, naked, in the winter. You've done that.
It's got some positive effects.
I can think of none.
But it does suck for a little while.
Yeah, I bet it does.
But you get used to it. I've been on this cold plunge kick, so to me that's a good decision. You know, it doesn't seem like it at the time, like you're questioning your life choices when you're shivering in cold water. But after you step out, man, you feel like Superman.
Do you?
Absolutely. We should try it sometime, Chap.
I'm not going to get into a pool of water with you naked, man.
No, we're
not
wearing
doing
trunks.
It. I'm not doing it.
We're wearing trunks.
Okay, trunks. That's cool. All right. I love it. I love it. Well, I think, decisions. As decisions go, so too does life. Let's get back to a serious note for a second, if we can do that. And I think the world is filled with decision makers, and every decision you make doesn't just affect you.
Correct.
A lot of times we are so focused on self when we make that decision. And yet we don't think about who else is it going to affect. When I decide to do something in my house, it's going to affect my children. It's going to affect my wife. It's going to affect me too, but it may affect my bank account. It may affect all kinds of things. And if we don't do the basics, like you mentioned earlier, take 5 minutes and just write some pros and cons.
Right.
If it's a big decision, now little decisions, am I going to brush my teeth today? I think I can handle that one. All right. But I think I want to sell my house. Well, that's probably something we better talk about.
Right.
Now, I will say, I remember back when I was in my late 20s, decided I was going to go into ministry. Don't ever do this. I don't suggest anybody do this, but I was fed up with my work. And I was in oil and gas, and I felt called to the ministry. I need to go back to school. I need to go find me a church to work in. All right. So one morning I sent an email to my boss in Louisiana and said, I quit. And then I went home and shared that with my wife. Not a good thing, Bear.
So what did Dawn do?
She looked at me like, I think I'm going to kill you. And it was like this moment of stupidity. I've married an idiot. My wife has married an idiot. Okay. And, I've been known to do stupid stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Spontaneous decisions rarely focus on good things sometimes. Now, in that particular, I thought I was making a great decision. 30 years later, I'm still doing that work. But at the moment, it didn't seem like it was too good.
It never does.
No.
When you sit back and reflect, I heard this acronym. It's called HALT. Never make a decision when you're emotional, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired.
Absolutely.
Right? A big
not.
decision.
Yeah, don't do it.
Right? Like going to the grocery store and you're hungry and coming out with $300 grocery bill.
Exactly.
So on donuts, Bluebell ice cream, and Reese's.
All the good stuff.
Yes, all the deliciousness.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's important when you look at what life can be. There's some decisions that we make that can be life altering. Absolutely life altering. I've in my work over the years, I've seen people devastate their lives by making a split-second choice, and boom, they ran over somebody, or boom, they had an affair, or boom, they just chose to do something that was not productive, and that changed their life forever. It put them on a trajectory of sadness, disappointment, life failure. And I think now is a great time to learn how in our lives. Don't make those split-second choices. Stop, think. Like you said, halt.
Right.
Identify. Think about the possible consequences. When I was raising my boys, who are now young men, when I don't know, my oldest is 40, I always tried to tell them and teach them, think before you move. Think about where you're going before you go there, because you might get somewhere you don't want to be if you hadn't thought about it.
You ever heard of the OODA loop?
The what?
You're a Marine. You
Yeah.
should have heard of the OODA loop.
Yep.
Observe, orient, decide, and act.
Right.
Right. You don't make
absolutely.
a split-second decision when your life is on the line. And unfortunately, a lot of people do. I mean, Houston traffic is the worst.
Oh. Now I'm going to tell you what, at 4 o'clock in the morning when I'm driving from my house to work, it's a lot of split-second decisions. Usually because I'm on the road with a bunch of idiots that don't know how to drive. But
I've seen you drive, chap.
hey, baby, I can get out of any problem.
If you're not first, you're last, right?
You got that right. And I can't stand to be behind anybody.
I like it.
I like to be in the front because I can drive good. So if it's passable, I'm taking it.
I like it.
That's my motto. There's no place on the road you can't get past. Take it from me. I have proved it time after time.
Probably not the best decision, but
Now, the problem is I've done it with my wife in the car. And when you do it with your wife in the car, again, she looks, I'm married to an idiot. I'm married to an idiot. I'm married to an idiot.
So, just a short story. I just got back from my first deployment, and we had some TTPs in Iraq, tactics, techniques, and procedures, and we were doing gun runs and gun missions, working PSD, personal security detail.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we were basically bodyguards.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I know you like that term.
I like that car.
So we got back stateside. I was showing my wife a vehicle maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
And again, probably not the best decision, but I thought it was cool. I wanted to show her what I had learned,
Yeah.
and not interested whatsoever.
No. Right.
So had I had stopped,
Mm-hmm.
had I utilized the OODA loop,
Yep.
had I had stopped, reflected, instead of making an impulsive decision, I probably would have came out of that unscathed.
Right. Right.
But it is what it is. You live, you learn, right? And that's
Sure.
the point. You have to make bad decisions to learn from them, right?
Well, yeah, you have to fail to succeed, because in the midst of the failure, you learn what not to do. And anyone that says they've never failed, I don't believe they're very successful, because you have to fail along the line to grow. And in the church, we always say all the growth comes in the valley, not at the top of the mountain. And I find that to be very true. There are times we're at the top of the mountain, man, everything's going great. Oh, man, I've made so many good decisions. I am at the pinnacle of perfection. And then I make one stupid choice and I fall all the way back down. And I think that happens in our lives a lot.
It does. It does. I beat myself up worse than anybody else could ever beat me up.
Sure.
When I make a bad decision, you're reflecting on it, and you're like, man, you dumbass.
Yeah.
Really? Like you did that?
Yeah. Makes no sense. Why?
I was probably hungry, angry, lonely, or tired.
Most likely. When, it's so much fun to make a good decision. And when it comes out good, you go, oh, look at me. I'm so smart.
It's kind of like working for something and appreciating the fruits of your labor.
Absolutely.
Right? When you work for something, you appreciate it more.
That's right.
Like I know when I haven't always made the best decisions parenting,
Mm-hmm.
right? My kids are great, love them to death. But you make a bad decision, man, you learn from it, right? You get back up on the horse, you ride again, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, there's no doubt that life decisions are daily. A psychologist once said that we make over 10,000 decisions every day, many in which we don't even know. And so out of that 10,000, I'd like to at least make 2 or 3 good ones.
Right.
Hey, at least I do get up and I do choose to go to work. That's a good decision.
Most days.
Most days.
Most days.
I chose to come over here to hang out with you today. That was a good one.
Absolutely. I think it was a great one.
Yeah. But decision making is I think it's a key part of life. And until we figure out how to do it well, we're not gonna really experience everything we could, because we must learn how to make the right choices so that we can have the right outcomes.
So you got two choices. You either evolve or repeat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you don't remember what you did wrong the first time, you are definitely going to repeat it. History repeats itself.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. If we're not daily reminded, or regularly at least reminded, that, that didn't go so well. So that firecracker in the gas tank didn't go so well. So,
man, I got one more for you. We we were kids. We were driving around our hometown, and we were throwing firecrackers out the window, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just being stupid kids, doing what stupid kids do back when you could be a stupid kid.
Right.
So we're throwing these firecrackers out the window. We come around a corner, and we thought it'd be cool to throw one in a car.
Into another car?
No, not into another car.
Okay.
On another car.
Okay.
And just scare the hell out of somebody, right? I mean, because everybody thinks that's funny, right? The reaction.
I'm freaking out now thinking about it.
Yeah, it happened to be a cop car. Not a good decision.
idea.
Not a good decision. But I could go on and on about many bad decisions I've made, but the point is I'm standing here, right? I'm still here, right? I've learned from those decisions. I do not throw firecrackers out of cars anymore.
Right.
So don't do that.
Yeah. Have you learned anything from anybody else before?
So that brings up
keeping you not
point.
So that you don't do it. Can we learn from other people's mistakes?
Absolutely.
Why don't we do it?
That's another good point, is having that confidant. We talked about accountability.
Yeah.
Right. Having somebody that's going to hold you accountable, being somebody, your sounding board. Hey, chap, what do you think about this, man?
Yeah.
Not necessarily validation, but just an azimuth check.
Yeah. I think balance, life balance is required. And when you put yourself in a position to make a bad choice, chances are you're going to make a bad choice.
Right.
Because you've already positioned yourself to do it. And so I do my best, at least personally, to always position myself to have an option for the good choice. I think too many people today just haphazardly do stuff, and the next thing they know, they're in trouble. They buy stuff with money they don't have, called credit. And they continue and go overboard. And the next thing you know, we have another problem. And that problem turns into a bigger problem. And so ask for help if you make a bad mistake. Something else we don't like, we men, we're so perfect. We don't like to ask for help most of the time. And then when we do, we get mad at the person that's telling us how stupid we are. And so, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I try to find people that are seriously going to help me and challenge me to do the right things. And if I can find people that have already done some of the things that I'm looking at doing, I try to do that. I really do.
Get you some sound advice.
Absolutely.
From somebody who's been there.
Absolutely. So for the sake of this conversation and the sake of my thoughts and our thoughts on decision making, I think we must find some people in our lives that we can bounce stuff off of. And we need to think about how it's going to affect the people around us. It's like the engineers who design car engines. They obviously have never had to work on one. You know what I'm talking
about? I know what it's like having engineers at a plant.
There you go. Okay. And so I've always said, if people actually had to repair the things they design, they would design them very differently. So my thought, make good decisions, have a good pro and con respect for the problem. And if you can find some wisdom from somebody else, I suggest everybody find it.
If you're having a hard time making a decision, sleep on it. Stop. Yeah. Don't make that decision, right? Stop what you're doing, sleep on it.
Yeah.
If you're second guessing yourself, and then come back to it with a fresh start, with a fresh head. right after you've gotten some sage advice, some sage wisdom.
Yeah.
You bounced it off your sounding board. You're not emotional anymore. You're not hungry. Right. You're not angry. Right. How many times have you fired off an email in anger? I've done that, and I've gotten chewed out for it many a times.
Yeah.
Right. Just reacting off of emotion. But controlling your emotions make great slaves, but horrible masters.
Absolutely.
Right? You have to get your emotions under control.
Yeah.
Poor impulse control can lead to bad decisions, and it can change the course of your life.
And it will.
It will.
Yeah. We need to be more proactive and less reactive in our lives. I think. That's just my opinion.
Respond. Don't react.
Exactly. Absolutely. Well, that's all I can say. What do you got else? What else you got?
We'll leave you with a quote.
All right.
Life is a matter of choices, and every choice you make makes you. John Maxwell.
That's right. Who you are and what people see is what you do. So, man, fun stuff, man. Fun stuff. This is Billy. That's Bear. And we're gone. Khaos Project. See you next time.